Welcome to Mishna study Masachet Orlah Perek Aleph Mishnah Zayin. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to discuss different parts of the vine that are prohibited, right? So you have, from the laws of Orlah. So let's say you have now the vine. So we know, okay, if you had a vine that you planted within the first 3 years, that those grapes are going to be asur. What if you wanted to use the leaves? Right? You want to use, I don't know, the little liquid that comes out of the vine itself. You want to have the actual berries, right? Or the unripe grapes. What's going to be asur? What's going to be allowed? Right? So if you have the alim, the leaves, grape leaves, lulavin are the lulav, right? Those are really the more of that branch. That sprout, that branch. The megafanim is when you cut the vine, sometimes some liquid comes out. The simadar itself are the flowers that the berries and the fruit comes from. So over here, all these mutalim ba'olah u'barva'i u'banazir. These are all allowed midin olah. You don't have to wait 3 years to eat these, or reva'i. Right? Usually the 4th year, you have to go ahead and redeem these fruits and eat them in Jerusalem. Over here, these aren't considered the fruits, so you don't have to redeem them. You could just eat them right away in your home. Ubanazir. Right, so we know, by the way, the pasuk says va'araltem, by Orlah, it says va'araltem orato et piryo, right? Has to be the pri, right? So actually the sifra, the midrash halacha, is doresh. Piryo comes to exclude alim and lulavim, megafanim and simadar, right? That's the exclusion, because it's pri, only the fruit is asur and Orlah. When it comes to revai, right, on the fourth year fruits, what does it say about revai? Here kol piryo kodesh hiludim, right? Each fruit is kodesh hiludim. Okay, so these aren't considered fruits. Now, when it comes to Nazir, what's the law by Nazir? We know Nazir is not allowed to have any type of grapes or something that comes from the vine. But what does the pasuk say? Right, the pasuk says by the Nazir, mikol asher ya'aseh migef ha'yayin v'hartzanim v'adzad lo yochel. Right, anything that comes from the gefen, right, all those things he can't eat. Right, so these elu and amachal, these aren't foods. Right, so therefore he's allowed to have all of these. Now, what about the asherah? Let's say you have a tree that was worshipped. A lot of times they would worship a tree. They would actually see, a lot of times they found these in Israel, trees with, pisalim that would be ma'amid underneath, right? They would stand them up underneath. This would be an asherah, right? You're not allowed to go ahead and have any benefit from this tree. So therefore, right, the pasuk says, right? Nothing. You can't have anything, no attachment to it. So therefore, even the things that aren't fruits are going to be asur. You have to destroy them. Comes to Rabbi Yosef, and he says the simadar, right, which we said earlier in the Mishnah, right, that was the more of those buds, right, that flowery bud, goes, that's going to be asur, that's considered, that's enough to be considered a fruit, right, that really turns into the fruit. So he's going to say, no, you're not allowed to have that either. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, afa ma'amid bisraf ha'olah asur. Comes to Rabbi Eliezer and he says, look, even if someone goes ahead and he's ma'amid. Ma'amid is what they would do. They would take this sap, right, from the tree, and they would use this as the agent, like the resin to curd cheese, right? They would go ahead and they would use this, and this would make the cheese really turn into cheese. It would make it coagulate and turn that milk into cheese, right? So this would be the agent, that enzyme. So he comes to be there and says, look, if you go ahead and you use the sap from the Orlah tree to go ahead and make your cheese, the entire batch of cheese becomes asur. Amar Rabbi Yoshua, and Rabbi comes to Rabbi Yoshua and says, Shamati befirush, I heard specifically, right, passed down, tradition, Shama'amid, if someone goes ahead and he uses this enzyme, right, uses this sap, bisraf ha'alim u bisraf ha'ikarim mutar. Right? If you go ahead and use the sap from the ikarim, right? That's from the roots, or you use the that sap from the from the leaves or the roots. That's going to be allowed. But pagin asur. But if you use the sap from the pagim are the unripe fruits, right? So it's already considered a fruit. Now you take some of those unripe fruits, a lot of times from the figs, right? They would have the white little sap that's coming out of the top of the fig, use that as the agent to make your cheese, that's going to be asur because that is already considered, those unripe fruits are already considered fruit, and that's considered orlah, and that'll make the whole batch of cheese asur from din of orlah.